It is Wednesday, a little bit late, and I am just jumping on. So, really cool case today. Um, had a consultation. Um, this person was having thinning hair, some sleeping issues, and some other things kind of going on with the patient. And one of the things that we always check for, okay, so in Western medicine, everything is kind of like oh uh separate in a lot of cases, right? Eastern medicine says that everything is connected, right? Your house or your body works like as a house. If one part is off in any way, it can throw everything else off. So in quantum nutrition testing, we always look for what we call the priority organ. Okay. So I like to say that the priority organ is kind of like the mother of the house. What happens when mom's sick? Kids don't do their homework, house doesn't get clean, unless dad's a gourmet chef, dad doesn't know what to cook for dinner, and it's SpaghettiOs and hot dogs, right? For dinner. And everybody's like, well, when's mom feeling better? Ma, ma, ma. You fix mom and the whole house goes back to normal, right? Well, same thing with our bodies. So instead of chasing symptoms, we find out, okay, which organ is not functioning optimally? Well, anyway, so this person has, like a little bit of sleeping issues, some like anxiety and things like that, and thinning hair and whatnot. And during quantum nutrition testing, like assess all the organs. And quite honestly, I don't necessarily care. Well, I do care, but not really if your labs are normal, right? Because a lot of my patients have normal labs, but they feel like crap. So just because it's normal for you doesn't mean it, or just because it's normal for one person doesn't mean it's normal for you. And in Western medicine, as long as you fit somewhere in the middle, we deem you normal. But that might not be the case. So anyway, so in quantum nutrition testing, we want to assess what organs are functioning optimally, regardless of whether you have normal labs or not, and then which ones are not. And if they're not, then the underlying cause. And then we look for, out of all those organs, which one is really causing the culprit of everything. And she's got all these symptoms like the thinning hair, the sleeping, anxiety, a little bit, fatigue, brain fog, memory issues. Well, to me, that all leads to thyroid issues, right? Or I'm thinking thyroid, I'm thinking endocrine, that's my Western brain going on. And her kidney actually was coming up as one of her kidneys was actually coming up because we actually differentiate between right and left, was coming up as her priority organ. And what was interesting is digging further with quantum nutrition testing, we were able to find out that part of the reason why her kidney wasn't functioning optimally actually was because her thyroid hormones were actually affecting it. And I'm like, no, I'm a family nurse practitioner. And, you know, like I know a lot about Western medicine, but I will tell you that there's times where, I don't know everything. Right. And so, my little Western medicine brain is going, what, how are thyroid hormones affecting the kidney? Like, why is this like, you wouldn't think that. So I do some digging, and the cool thing is actually thyroid hormones actually do affect the glomerular filtration rate, and this is like how fast and how well the kidneys are like filtering waste and things like that. Thyroid hormones also help to regulate, sodium and potassium levels, which can affect the kidneys. Thyroid hormones are necessary for for the development of kidneys. So I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, I didn't even dawn on me, like, that the kidney function and the thyroid can actually be interconnected. So if one is off, it can affect the other one and vice versa. And I just had to share that because I get so excited with quantum nutrition testing. It literally takes the guesswork out of, like, why do people have their symptoms and why are they not feeling as well as they possibly could? So, and we go on to like testing. So the patient was actually having, now I've been seeing a lot of this because it's also the new moon. Okay, tonight is the new moon. And you might have heard me talk about the full moon before. Okay. And if any of you guys who are watching live, if you're with me and you guys have any questions, please mention them in the comments. I would love to answer any questions. If you guys do have questions or whatever, please mention them. I will try to answer them and try to keep an eye out. But anyway, so the new moon, people can have worsening of symptoms either around the full moon and or the new moon. Why? Parasite activity actually can increase. And so the patient actually wound up stating, like, this past week was kind of like really bad for the patient and things like that. And the symptoms were a little bit worse. And the patient was actually coming up and through quantum nutrition testing was actually testing for parasites. Um, and actually the large ones too. And we know that parasites and things like Lyme can actually imbalance hormones, can cause some organ dysfunction and can actually imbalance your hormones. So we don't want to just find out like what organs are not functioning optimally. We want to find out, well, why? Why are they not functioning as well as they could be? What is the underlying cause? And we know that Lyme disease, undiagnosed, which a lot of people actually have, a ton of people have undiagnosed Lyme disease, and it can screw up so many things. I actually treated three women this past year that had a lot of like like heavy uterine bleeding, um, and really, really bad menstrual cycles, like lots of heavy clots, lots of heavy cramping, like really longer periods of bleeding and things like that. And when I actually each one of them actually had something, it's a bug called Bartonella. It is a co-infection of Lyme disease. Bartonella is a bacteria that acts like a parasite. So it actually has to live inside of a cell in order for it to survive. So it's a bacterium that has parasitic like activity. And each one of the three ladies that I actually treated this past year for heavy excessive bleeding actually all had Bartonella coming up in their uterus. So again, we want to find out like why do you have your symptoms? And a lot of times like Lyme disease, parasites can actually cause imbalance in hormones, leading to things like PMS issues, leading to night sweats, insomnia, um, mood swings, chronic fatigue. It can lead to you having menopausal symptoms. Okay. Um, and these suckers, once we get rid of them, then your hormones can start balancing out. So, and we might have to give like supplements to help support your hormones, which until we can actually get rid of the underlying cause. And things like ashwagandha are really good. Bacopa is another good herb that's adaptogenic. But it's really kind of whatever your body tests for because there's tons of different like herbs and things like that and homeopathic remedies that can help balance your hormones. But one thing that's nice is we actually get to test to see which one your body specifically wants and needs. So maca root is another really good one. Cohosh is another good herb that will help balance out women's hormones. But again, it really just depends on what you want. Wild yam can be a really good herb as well. But yeah, so this person again, was testing for parasites, and I've seen that actually a lot this past week. A lot of people are coming up for parasitic activity this past week, and some people's symptoms are a little bit worse. And so she had parasites as well as her thyroid hormones were off balance, which was contributing to her kidney being the priority organ, and as well as Lyme co-infection and parasites. So again, like I said, we want to get to the underlying cause. I don't want to just do a band-aid. And it'll be really interesting to see how this person progresses and stuff like that. So as we start kind of getting rid of some of these things. If you have parasites and stuff like that, the parasites can become more active. Why? Especially around the full moon. I see more around the full moon than I do the new moon, but I do see more parasitic activity around the new moon. A couple different reasons for that is parasites are made up of a lot of water, and so is our bodies. That's why like a lot of pregnant women will go into, if they're in their third trimester and towards the end of their pregnancy, a lot of times they will go into labor right around the full moon, and labor and delivery, they get swamped, because a lot of women will go into labor at the same time, like roughly around the full moon. Because the full moon and the gravitational pull, that's why water levels in the ocean rise. It'll also fluctuate within our bodies as well. Full moons can actually have an effect, believe it or not, on our serotonin levels and our melatonin levels. So melatonin is a hormone that's actually needed for sleep cycle and a lot of other bodily functions. So some people will be more um they'll be awake at night, they'll have more insomnia type, symptoms because they can't sleep because melatonin levels will drop within the body, and so you might have a harder time sleeping. Serotonin levels can rise, and some people, and if you have too much, you can actually become anxious and other things like that, so you can have mood swings. Well, when this actually happens, the serotonin levels, if it gets too high, can actually excite the parasites, and actually parasites are also made up of water. So, with that gravitational pull, then parasites become more excitable. Our water levels, fluctuate within our bodies from cellular to extracellular, and making it more easily available for parasites to become more mobile and more active. And so they can actually go migrating. So you might notice things like increased sugar cravings around the full moon or new moon. You might notice more anxiety, maybe nightmares, maybe you're clenching your teeth more. Okay, so parasites actually teeth clenching is actually a sign of parasites. You might see more floaters, eye floaters. That is a sign of parasitic activity. Um, More nausea, more gas, more bloating, diarrhea, or worsening of constipation. Okay, these are all signs that you could have parasites, and especially if it's worse within that week. So, again, tonight's the new moon. So, if you've had worsening of symptoms within this last week, there's a good chance it could be parasitic related. Um, Again, mood swings, what else? Nightmares, I think I already said that. Um, Itchiness. Oh gosh, itchiness. Like especially if you're more itchy at night or even restless legs and cramping. Did you know that a lot of my patients who have restless legs actually have parasites in their muscles? Yeah, parasites in their muscles. So it happens in animals. Like if you go and you do, like, I don't know if you've ever seen those like YouTube videos. Um where they turn around and, um, like, you cut into the raw meat and you actually see the worms crawling out and stuff. Well, that's in the muscles. They can be in our muscles too. So if you have, like, restless leg syndrome, okay, or muscle cramping and really bad, charley horses at night, that and that's not the only reason why you can have these, but there's a good possibility that it could be from parasites. So what are some things that you can actually do for parasites? So clove is really good, garlic, wormwood, let's see, cat's claw, myrrh. These are really good herbs that can help with getting rid of parasites. So when you kill off parasites, you also want to make sure that you have a good binder, because when we kill off parasites, if you do a really, really good job on killing off parasites, you might not feel so well, okay? Because they can release gunk into your system. They can release toxins. When you kill off something, it's going to release toxins. So you need a good binder in order for it to absorb any of the toxins. So if you were not doing or following like any protocols with or doing, and I should reframe that because I don't do protocols because it's actually a very tailor-made program for the individual. But if you were going to do any parasite cleanses, you need a good binder with it. So, and if you're not going to see holistic practitioner who has physician grade supplements. Then some other binders that you can do are charcoal, activated charcoal, and bentonite clay, are other good binders that you can use. And you can typically find these over the counter. The products that I use, Cellcore, Systemic Formulas, Alimentum Labs, and some other ones, they're physician grade, and you have to be under the care of a practitioner in order to use them. Um, but those are some other good things. You want to make sure that you support your drainage pathways because, again, when we start killing off parasites um, and they release toxins, you have to be able to excrete those toxins, right? So you have to support overall drainage pathways, your kidneys, your liver. Dandelion root can be a really good one. Um, so that can help to open up drainage pathways for the bowels. Um, fenugreek fenugreek is a really good. I'm sorry, fenugreek is from Standard Process. It's a whole food supplement from Standard Process, one of the other companies I use. But fenugreek is a good herb that actually will help support the bowels and kind of help open up drainage pathways. Spanish black radish is really good for, it's a whole food supplement that helps support kidneys, helps support liver detox, and any gut drainage as well. Um, let's see. Bilberry can be a really good herb that can help support kidneys, circulatory, um, as well as the liver. So again, you want to support the kidneys. So if you're going to do a parasite cleanse, you can't just do, the herbs to kill off parasites. You have to be able to get rid of toxins, eliminate dead debris, and you have to be able to have a good binders to basically bind any toxins from killing off the parasites. I've seen parasite after doing parasite cleanses with some of my patients, they can have an overgrowth of candida because candida can actually be inside parasites. So when we kill off the parasites, they can release candida into the system, and now you have to go after candida. Um, so yeah, it can be a very complicated process. Doing a 2-week cleanse on a parasite, that's good starters, but I can guarantee you, you're not done getting rid of parasites after 2 weeks. Most of my patients are on a parasite cleanse for 3+ months. 3+ months. Okay. So before they completely get rid of parasites completely. We actually do the biggest parasite challenge in my office. So whoever poops out the biggest worm and sends me a pic gets a prize at the end of the month. And then I actually post it on Facebook and Instagram. So if you happen to be, which some of you guys are, when you're done, I highly encourage you to kind of go looking through. I actually have a contest. So two of my patients are actually neck to neck. So if you guys are seeing this, please find that there's a picture, two different pictures. So I'm trying to determine who actually won the biggest parasite challenge because it looks pretty close to me and I'm having a hard time deciding. So I'm actually asking for uh some help in deciding who possibly won. So if you find that picture, I posted it a couple days ago. Please comment in there. I would love to figure out, and I put like a little number, so number 1 and number 2. So if you happen to see that, just please go ahead and in the comment section below that post, please put number 1 or number 2. That would really help me because I got a couple more days to figure out who actually won the parasite challenge. Um, and I've had actually parasites actually find in kidneys. So one of my other patients, this poor thing has she actually, I feel so bad for her. She, and nobody can figure this out. She has had a chronic UTI for over 1 year. 1 year. Could you imagine having a UTI like for 1 year and it not being resolved? So she is testing for quantum nutrition testing. She's testing for bacterium and she's also testing for parasites in her kidney and her bladder. So I've actually seen this. One of my other patients was having a chronic bacterial vaginosis. So what people don't realize is parasites can actually throw off the pH balance in your body. If the pH is is not properly balanced, that imbalanced pH will allow for bad bacteria and candida overgrowth because you need a good pH balance to keep those down, to keep bad bacteria and candida down. And parasites can actually throw that off. So she's new and she's only been on supplements for, and she's not even on her full protocol just yet because she's so sick that I actually have to open up her drainage pathways and start her off very slow. But even that being said, she's noticing a slight improvement already just within a week of being on supplements. That's like huge. Can you imagine like having chronic UTI like symptoms for like over a year and nobody can get rid of it and you've been on like multiple antibiotics and she's not even on her full protocol just yet and like her symptoms are slightly improved within 1 week. Not huge because again, I can't like bombard her system because then her system would probably go into an over tizzy. So it's, too much too much of a good thing too quickly is not always a good thing, right? So whatever the patient's body is actually asking for and how fast it's asking for, we have to respect what your body wants and how fast it wants it. Um and then but going back, one of my patients had actual chronic bacterial vaginosis. And she was like oral antibiotics, vaginal suppositories, didn't want to be intimate with her husband because like that made it worse. And so that was affecting her marriage. You're not being intimate with your husband for several months, that can have an impact, right? And she went to the doctors all over the place. So through quantum nutrition testing, we found out that she actually had parasites in her uterus. And she kind of believed me, kind of didn't, and I get it, like somebody tells you, "Oh, you got parasites in your uterus." And you're looking at, the practitioner like, "Are you nuts?" Like, "Well, why didn't the doctors pick this up?" I'm like, "Because Western medicine testing fails to pick up a lot of stuff. Otherwise, if it didn't, half of the United States wouldn't be in the health mess that we're already in, right? So Western medicine misses a lot of stuff, just plain and simple. It just does. And so, but she was desperate, right? So she kind of didn't know whether to believe me, didn't know whether not to, and what to do. But she's like, okay, well, obviously what I'm doing is not working, and I don't know what else to do. So, okay, she kind of did one of these things. Okay, I'm going to trust you, kind of covered her eyes. Okay, let's just do this. And it took about 6 months for the bacterial vaginosis to completely go away. Because, like I said, most people are on parasitic cleanses for 3+ months, especially if you've never done a parasite cleanse, because it's going to take a while. Technically, quite honestly, our babies should be doing parasite cleanses from the time that they're born. We deworm newborn babies, newborn kittens, and puppies, even though the mom has had a dewormer. And we deworm newborn kittens and puppies after about a month of them being born or whatever, right? We start deworming them at what, 6 weeks or something? But we don't do that for people. We don't do that for our infants. Why? What makes us think that we're so different? Why are we not doing that? So you have to understand. So by the time you're 30, 40, whatever age you're considering possibly doing a parasite cleanse, you've had 40 years of these suckers building up into your system. It's going to take a little bit to get them out of your system completely. Okay. So a 2-week parasite cleanse is not going to be enough. I can guarantee you that. So, anyway, so it took us about 6 months to get rid of them completely, but she started having small improvements even before that, like less odor, less irritation, less discharge, less itchiness. So those were improving over like the long period of over the 6 months. And then what was interesting is because I've been doing a parasite challenge for years with my patients. So she calls me up one evening and she goes, "Trace." And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I was able to be intimate with my husband." I was like, "That's fantastic." And she goes, "But," and I'm like, "Well, what's the but?" I'm like, "This is a good thing." And she goes, "But I kind of went to the bathroom afterwards to kind of, because most women will clean up after they're intimate." She goes, "I went to the bathroom afterwards." And I said, "Yeah." And now I started kind of getting an idea of what was coming next. And she goes, "And I wiped." And I said, "Okay." And she goes, "And there was a wad." And I'm like, "A wad?" And she goes, "Yeah, there was a wad." She goes, "There was about 4 to 6 worms that were all intertwined in a ball, and they were on the napkin. They came out of my hoo-ha." And I was like, "Congratulations." And there's me getting all like my patient's completely mortified, right? And then there's me like getting all excited, like, "Yay, you actually passed out the parasites." And she's like mortified on the phone, and I'm all excited for her. And she never had bacterial vaginosis since. Okay. So, as gross as that sounds, yes, they can be like actually in your uterus. Those uterine fibroids that women have. Yeah. Okay. Oh, those ovarian cysts. Yeah. You can actually look up on the CDC that cysts. So, what parasites will do is they will encapsulate themselves and form a cyst to protect themselves from your body trying to kill it. Okay. So, think brain cysts, breast cysts, ovarian cysts, kidney cysts, Baker's cysts. And that's not like the body, or what the body will do is the body will also turn around, and if you have a heavy metal or you have some sort of toxin, the other thing that cysts will be can be from is the body will actually form a capsule around toxins. So trying to isolate it so it doesn't go migrating all over the place. So the body will actually, because the body is actually very, very smart. We forget that our bodies have this innate intelligence. Okay. So our bodies have this innate intelligence to keep us alive, right? So if you turn around and you cut something, the body will send, platelets to form a scab to stop it from bleeding. So you don't have to tell your body, "Okay, I cut myself. Let's send platelets and let's form a scab." It just automatically does it. And your body does this on so many levels all the freaking time. We don't have to tell our bodies to, "Okay, I'm going to start running. Heart, start beating faster." Or, "I'm about ready to eat something. Okay, let's increase our digestive juices so we can, break down this food that I'm about ready to eat." We don't have to tell our bodies to do this. The problem is that a lot of times we have an overabundance of toxins or parasites or whatever, mold, Lyme, just something that prevents our bodies from actually healing. So I went on a tangent and I kind of almost lost my place a little bit, but regardless, so we don't have to tell our bodies to do some of this stuff. And our bodies can actually turn around and heal. And same thing like with anything else and with any other issues that we actually have. Um and that was my whole point, is there is an underlying cause of why you have your symptoms. And like for her, she had bacterial vaginosis. For my other patient, her underlying issue was parasites. You get rid of the parasites or you get rid of the underlying cause, symptoms will improve. Okay. Um, and that goes with pretty much everything else, even autoimmune disease. Even autoimmune disease. Your body was never designed to attack itself. Okay. Your body was never, and I'm going to have somebody that's going to comment and say, "Okay, well, what about babies that are born with something? Or what about, you know, um, like hereditary things?" True, but usually there's always some sort of like you can have, I don't know, let's just take MTHFR, right? So I don't know if you guys have heard about that. So MTHFR is a gene, and it's a gene mutation. And sometimes you can have, in some people, it turns on, in the same family. You can have 2 or 3 people within the same family, and they have this MTHFR gene mutation, but some turn on and maybe another family member, it doesn't. Why? Because if they're living in a different place or they're eating something completely different or whatever, they didn't get exposed to some sort of environmental thing that triggers that gene to activate or to turn on. And then you have that gene mutation. So even with autoimmune diseases, there's always something that usually triggers it. You get rid of what triggers that, you give support, and I hate, and as goofy as it sounds, then the autoimmune disease, I don't want, heaven forbid that we actually said the word cure or goes away, but a lot of the symptoms can improve. Let's just put it that way. So you get rid of the underlying issue, you give support to the body, and a lot of your symptoms will decrease significantly because your body was never designed to attack itself. Your body just wasn't. So toxins are a big, huge one. Parasites are a big, huge thing. Mold and undiagnosed Lyme disease. So somehow I went all the way from thyroid to kidney to bacterial vaginosis to autoimmune disease. And I think we kind of talked about pretty much everything under the sun. Before I get ready to go, I see that there's a couple people that have joined. Do you guys have any questions for me, or do you guys, have anything else that you would like to, ask while you have me on? Otherwise, if you guys want more information, please check out my website. There's links both in my Facebook page, also on my Instagram page. You can do a free discovery phone call for 10 minutes if you want to know more information or to see if this might help you. If you know somebody who this could benefit, you can schedule a free discovery phone call. We only have a couple more days left. We are doing a special on our consultation. So the consultation, oops, sorry. So the consultation is 2 appointments with me. Each appointment is an hour long. So that's 2 hours of professional consultation time. That's normally $250. Through the end of January, it's $125. So it would have to be prepaid, and then you have 30 days. So till the end of February to complete the consultation. It can be done in person or virtual. Okay, so I have patients across the country, and again, I can explain on how that actually works, during the free discovery phone call. If you have HSA or FSA accounts, that will pay for the consultation, that will pay for office visits and supplements as well. So, a lot of people want to know, does insurance pay for what I do? Nope. Insurance likes to keep us sick. Okay, so insurance does not cover anything that I do. But HSA or FSA accounts will. And yeah, I think that's about it. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And I hope that you have a really good night. Thank you for joining me tonight. And you can call our office 708-554-6730, or visit our website. And there's a link both on my Facebook and Instagram page. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful evening, guys. Night.